Sid, how you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm good. I'm going to teach the kids some things about fractions using these cans. First, let me tell you how I feel about fractions.
Okay.
I used to be afraid of fractions.
Really?
Yeah, well, I know you love math, and I really like it too, but sometimes it can be a little scary if you don't really understand it. And I don't know why fractions used to always scare me. But then I realized at one point that they're nothing to be afraid of, because fractions, I think of it like this. Fractions are not even a whole thing. They're just not even a whole thing. They're just a part of something, okay? So if these are all the cans that say Miss Becksted's class collected in one day, when we are working with these, we're just dealing with parts of them if we're dealing with fractions. Well, the other thing I really like about fractions is it always makes me think of pizza, because there's different parts, different slices, and you know how I feel about pizza. So we're going to work with fractions today. And
cool.
Before we do, I guess I wanted to show you one more trick. I learned this in the video that we made about multiplication. If you haven't seen that yet, it's with all the other videos online. I learned about how addition can be used to multiply, because multiplication is just, as you told me, repeated addition.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, so if I wanted to count all these cans until I learned that, I probably would have gone like 1, 2, 3, 4, and that takes a long time.
It does.
I learned this little trick, she taught me this little trick, that when you have them in rows, that are the even numbered rows, then instead of counting all of them, you only have to really count like the outside, like they're in, right here I have 1, 2, 3, I have 3 rows of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you know your multiplication facts, you could go, boom, 18, because 3 times 6 is 18. So, okay, so for example, Miss Beckstead has 18 cans here. And we want to know about different parts of them, like how many have box tops, or how many are soup. Okay, and in this case, we're going to learn about, what are we going to learn about here?
We have beans and we have tomatoes.
Okay, so we got some beans and tomatoes. So if I were to say to you, well, like, are half beans and half tomatoes? Because half is a fraction that I actually understand quite well, because I could picture like half are beans and half tomatoes. Okay, so then how do I figure out a fraction for explaining how many parts are beans compared to how many parts are tomatoes?
Okay, so in order to write a fraction, you would have a numerator and a denominator.
Okay, that's like a number on the top and then a line and a number on the bottom.
Yes.
Okay, a numerator and a denominator. Oh, I remember a little trick for how you know which is which.
Okay.
The University of Notre Dame, so Notre Dame, the N comes first and then the D. So the numerator's on top and the denominator's on the bottom. That's how I remember.
Okay. Or you can think of the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Again, the N and then the D.
Okay, so we're making fractions out of all of these cans. We're trying to figure out how many parts of beans compared to how many parts of tomatoes. Okay, and so we have
Right. So
a
we have
numerator.
fraction. Now, we said we have 18 total. So that's going to be our denominator, our total number. 18.
Okay, so it's always like that. The denominator's always on the bottom, and the denominator's always all of them. Oh, you know how I remember that? Because I understand the fraction 1/2. It's like 1 out of 2 is 1/2. And the 2 is always on the bottom in 1/2.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the denominator. That's all of them, and it goes on the bottom.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
And then how many beans do we have?
We had 6 beans.
Okay. So that's going to go on the top as our numerator.
So that's the fraction. The fraction is 6 out of 18 of these cans, 6 parts beans out of the total, which is 18. That kind of looks like 6 18s, but 6 18s is kind of a really big number. Can we make
Yeah,
that?
we can simplify it or put it in lowest terms, definitely.
Oh, reducing the fractions.
Yes, very good.
Okay, all right, yeah, because that's kind of big. Let's
So,
reduce that fraction.
In order to do that, we would want to find the greatest common factor,
Ooh.
which is the largest number that can be multiplied and get either of the number, get both of the numbers. Common, both, greatest, largest.
Okay, so
Factor,
the
multiplication.
biggest number that will go into both of them,
Yes.
that's the greatest common factor. The
Yes.
biggest number that they both have in common, that when you say goes into them,
Can be multiplied evenly into them.
okay, and that's what you call factors of them?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, I know right off the bat.
So if you're not sure what the greatest common factor is, if you can just find any common factor and then continue to do so until you don't have any, then you'll get its simplest forms as well.
Okay, because when I know those are both even numbers, 6 and 18, so I'm thinking 2's got to go into both of them.
Okay.
Okay,
So how many times does 2 go into 6?
okay, you mean like what times 2 equals 6?
Yes.
Oh, the other factor.
Yeah.
Okay, 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So 3 is a factor of 6, because 3 times 2 is 6.
And then how many times does 2 go into 18?
9, I know my math facts, and they come in handy with a lot of things, so if you don't know them, you really want to get those.
Okay, so now we have 3 9s. And is there anything that goes into both 3 and 9?
Yeah, 3.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
how many times does 3 go into 3?
1.
Okay.
Okay, so you're going to just put that on the bottom and, okay.
And then how many times does 3 go into 9?
3. I get it. Okay, so,
So 1/3 of the cans are beans.
and that's kind of what it looks like. Because if I did this, I would say 1/3 are, and then 2/3 aren't, and that accounts for all of them.
Right.
That's the whole thing.
So once you find one, then you'll be able to find the other because
Yeah, that's kind of what's left.
Yeah.
Because 3/3 is the whole thing. That's
exactly.
all of them. All right, that's pretty cool with the fractions. Okay, now what are some things the kids can do with the cans and the fractions?
Well, they can look for different things like maybe how many have box tops versus how many don't.
Okay.
Or they can even take a closer look at like the nutritional label and say like, well, how many are over 100 calories or over 2 grams of fat or something.
Okay, so what they would do is they would get the total number,
Yeah.
all right, and then that would go on the bottom,
Yes, that would be the denominator.
numerator, denominator, and like, okay, the denominator is on the bottom, that'd be the total number.
Yes.
Okay, and then whatever they were looking for, they would pick out those parts,
Mm-hmm.
and they would put that over the top, that'd be the numerator.
Yes.
And then that would give them
A fraction.
the fraction. Now, how many parts of the whole thing are the item that they're looking for? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right, so if you guys want to talk to your teacher about using some cans and adding them all up and then decide what it is you're looking for, put the total on the bottom as the denominator, and then however many you have that you were searching for as the numerator, that'll give you a fraction. And then you can look into simplifying it or reducing it into lowest terms. All right, have fun with your fractions.